Welcome to Computer Tech and More, and this one we're going to be taking a look at the Kensington MD110U4. It is a USB 4 docking station, and this one's claim to fame is that it's got an RJ45 or 2.5 gig port, which is something that I kind of liked. And of course it's USB 4, so it's got some Thunderbolt type capabilities built into it. It advertises being able to work for Mac OS, iPod, Samsung, and of course USB 4. Get out of the box. Open it up. Well, the top on it is a fabric type material. The whole case is plastic, so you are paying for the USB 4 type docking situation on it. It's got two DIN kigs right there, two HDMIs, which are... Okay, so it can handle one 8K 60 Hz or dual 4K 120. So that's a very capable HDMI situation on this. And then the 2.5 gig right there. And then we got a single USB-C 10 gig port. So its port selection is at the absolute minimum for me, personally. And I would require adapters. But... basically, this would be better future capability with a sacrifice for now, for me. So then it becomes an equation of which is the most important. So I'm going to test it out the best that I can. So I do have three externals, say NVMe-based SSDs. And we're going to plug them into each of the ports and test out to see what it can do. We're going to plug in the 2.5 gig, test out that, and then do two monitors. It will be plugged into a laptop that does have Thunderbolt on it. I don't have one that is USB 4 only, so I can't attest for how that'll operate. But I can tell you Thunderbolt, which is, it's Thunderbolt 3, so it'll be similar to USB 4 in that regard. All right, let's test her out. Speed test directly plugged in. And this SSD is the Sabrent Rocket Nano 1 terabyte. And this is the result. Now let's check it with some of the USB devices. Alrighty, we got the Kensington hooked up now, as hooked up as I can. I only have one HDMI cable for my device. Again, it's just under 1080p, but effectively similar-ish bandwidth requirement, so no problems there. So there's a little bit of a problem with me using this device. But I got 1, 2, 3 SSDs hooked up to it for my SSD test and seeing if it's able to power all three. This is not taking any extra power in, it's just running purely off the USB port. And it did not register in Thunderbolt, despite being claiming to be USB 4. So here's the Thunderbolt devices. I would have expected Thunderbolt or USB 4 to show up in the Thunderbolt attached devices because they use a very similar protocol, but I actually don't know that for certain if it would or would not. Okay, we got the speeds running. Looks like they're all running simultaneously fairly well. Let's check. Here we are, 100%. So 600, 100, 180. So they're all running simultaneously, which is what I want to actually test. Because then we're going to get the actual speeds. So clearly this one, which is hooked up via USB-C, is getting full speed, while the other ones are getting probably 2 or USB regular 3, 500 megabyte per second speeds. Although on the side it does list them at full 10 gig, or did I say 500 megabyte per second versus, or megabit per second versus 10 gigabit per second. What am I saying? I know what it is. But realistically, they should all, if running individually, should be getting 1000 megabyte per second speeds. And if running all three simultaneously, they should add up to approximately that. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's about right for the read speed. So it does add up correctly. So it clearly does show that it is prioritizing the USB-C over the USB-A ports. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Well, I just got a random disconnect, and I lost the monitor, and I lost all the USB devices hooked up to it. Unplugged, plugged back in just to see if anything returns. Now, the top does feel relatively cool to the touch, and this is a big block, so it should have plenty of like heat spreader inside of it, but well, it doesn't appear to be working now. Well, I was able to get it back, unplugging everything, getting it plugged in with just an HDMI cable. So I've tested, I don't know, half of the hubs that I actually purchased to test out to see which one would work best for my office environment. And they all appear to be exhibiting similar type behaviors, meaning if fully loaded, it just can't handle it, so the number of SSDs powering it. So that means you do want one with external power if you're going to be powering more than one SSD. The HDMI thing, the random disconnects, that's a bit annoying. But the biggest issue is after it has a fault, is it able to bounce back quickly and easily? And that's where I'm finding like the next step, and we'll probably just have a little short for which one I end up picking, if any of these. So another interesting ending to the video. It makes me think that it needs to be powered itself, and yeah, it doesn't have a power delivery, although this does have a plug on it. Maybe it can take power delivery, but then you lose another USB port, which in my opinion defeats the purpose of these things. Okay, well, I'm going to end the video, I guess, right there. Thank you very much for watching my video on the Kingston. If you've got suggestions for more content, please leave it in the comment sections down below. Ways to improve my video, please leave that down below. I'm looking for constructive criticism. Otherwise, have a great day, and I hope to see you next time here on Computer Tech and More.